or members abstaining from a meeting. Turnover means the ratio between new people joining and the old people leaving. Say, for instance, turnover can be in terms of our relationship, friendship for that matter. How many new friends you have made, how many old friends have left you. The ratio between number of new friends and the number of old people with whom I am not in contact, that can be called a turnover. Originally, this word is taken from human resources management, wherein keeping in mind number of new employees joining and the old employees leaving the organization. Say, for instance, if every year thousands of people are leaving, thousands of new people are joining, means it is not a healthy trend. People are not staying with you for a long time, that means.
Yes, sir.
When people are not living with you for a long time, that is an indication something is wrong there. People are not happy to be with you. On the same line, I made a relationship. Turnover in terms of students, say for instance, students who have attended today's class may not come for tomorrow. Tomorrow, another set of 50% will come. Day after tomorrow, they will not come. This ratio of the old and the new, attended and the unattended, can be interpreted as the turnover in this case. Therefore, absenteeism means number of people keeping away from the place of require, and turnover is the ratio between people leaving and people joining. Hope you got it.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? Questions will not come under two circumstances. Once you understood everything, other one is when nothing is understood.
No question will come, sir. Everything you are clarified immediately. So I'll get more information. So now I'm not asking question anything.
Okay. If there are no questions at this point of time, I accept it as your consent to proceed further. Even in between, if you feel like posing questions backward, don't hesitate. Take the liberty. You are all free to raise the issues at any point of time. Because we should not go with a conflicting mind. Conflict will arise only when there is a doubt and there is no scope for clarifying that, getting it clear. Let there not be any confusions here. Conflicts are the consequences of interdependency. Conflicts are the consequence of our inability to accept the reality. Conflict may arise because of the imposition by somebody on us. Such a situation leads to conflict because of any of these reasons. All of us, day in and day out, encounter situations that are conflicting between our choice and the reality, but we have to resolve them appropriately. We have to get out of it. Otherwise, as I was mentioning, intrapersonal conflicts, if unresolved, leads to psychological disturbance. Today, in the name of civilization, majority of the people are suffering by one or the other type of psychological disturbance. The psychological disturbance is because of our inability to express our emotions, inability to express our feelings. Such a situation needs to be handled properly. Many a time as teachers, recall my saying, all teachers are undesignated leaders. We are the leaders not only for the classroom, even the society looks at us as responsible entities to guide the society, to mold the society's future. Therefore, all teachers are invariably leaders by their positions itself. As a leader, there are n number of character qualities that we need to develop. The most prominent quality that is essential for any leader, more particularly for teachers, is as I believe, one of the qualities, it is not the only quality, is ability to handle our own emotions and manage the emotions of others. Hence, the topic emotional intelligence has been chosen. For the next 1 hour or so, I will be interacting with you on another topic, emotional intelligence. Let us make a beginning with that. It is not a new topic. Emotional intelligence is not something new to anybody. But what we have to discuss is how it can be applied to our situation, how it can be used for the betterment of our deliveries in the classroom and our relations with our colleagues and the society at large. For that purpose, I will be taking you towards emotional intelligence. Before I explain, if anybody has come across this concept, emotional intelligence, feel free to say, what do you know about it? What is your understanding of emotional intelligence? Anybody in the audience? What is emotional intelligence?
Ability to handle the emotional disturbances.
Ability to handle the emotional disturbances. Okay, then anything more? Nothing more, nothing less. Ability to handle emotional disturbances. Okay. Any more reactions?
Ability to handle the situations in a proper manner.
Okay, wonderful. Ability to handle the situation in a proper manner.
Sir, hello.
Please, please.
Handling the situation when you are overexcited or under some sadness or at some where you are at a place where you are not a comfortable situation.
Okay. But not necessarily sadness or uncomfortable situation. At every moment, you have to handle it properly.
Yeah.
Man is a bundle of emotion, no?
Yes, sir.
Even there is a way to express our happiness.
Yes, sir.
Not
Because
necessarily
the best example is the Punit Rajkumar's death. The entire Karnataka was under.
Yes. Go ahead.
Only that situation, sir, where everyone was emotioned. They could not control their emotions,
Yes.
right from child to the aged peoples.
Okay. Any more reactions about emotional intelligence?
Handling and controlling the emotions accordingly.
Controlling emotions. Wonderful, sir. If you can control your emotions, you can control the world.
Controlling and handling the emotions according to the situation.
Okay, handling emotions. What is the difference between controlling and handling?
According to the situations, we have to express our emotions freely.
Okay, controlling means totally avoiding. Handling means managing emotions.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Emotions cannot be controlled. Say, for instance, when you hear a sad news, you cannot control your emotions. You feel sad. But thinking that I am sad, you cannot cry openly. Right? There is a civilized, accepted pattern. In that way only you have to express it. When you are happy, you must celebrate. But there is an accepted way of celebration. That's what managing or handling. Wonderful. Let us move towards this topic, emotional intelligence. Again, on the condition, wherever there are questions, feel free to raise questions and interact. Emotional intelligence sets apart individuals. It is the emotions that makes every one of us different. It is our ability to handle the emotions that makes us to be different. At the end of my last session, I was talking to you about ego clashes and made a brief attempt to explain ego status like child, adult, and the parent egos. The child, parent, and the adult ego are the reactions in which individuals respond to the external stimuli. The way in which we respond to the external stimuli, that makes us the person what we are. and the world identifies us with that emotion. When you are angry, how do you express your anger? When you are happy, how do you share or express that happiness? That makes you a different type of person. Inside the class, where you handle students of different caliber, of different nature, you feel differently. Sometimes you feel like hitting on the face. Sometimes you feel like appreciating with a pad on their back. But you cannot do so. There must be a limit for everything. You have to control, you have to manage your emotions in it and express it in the most accepted manner. Then only you will be identified as a person with maturity. Otherwise, if we allow our emotions to control us, we may become emotionally bonded, emotionally sensitized persons who can be manipulated, who will become vulnerable for exploitation. Therefore, emotional intelligence is one of the most talked about topic these days, not only in academic, even in the corporate sector, even in the social well-being. That too, in the light of the COVID-19, after experiencing a traumatic situation, both outside and at home, many people are subjected to psychological depression. To get out of this depression, to get out of the sufferings of this particular pandemic and the resultant consequences, people need to develop competence to handle their emotions. Say, for instance, some people have lost their jobs, some people have lost their salary, some people have lost their relatives, some people have lost parents and the children. Given the situation, emotions makes us to think differently. Sometimes we may feel like this is the end of life. Sometimes we may feel that there is nobody to support, nobody to help us. But there will be a light at the end of every tunnel. There will be an opportunity, a gate opened at one point or the other. Only thing, we need the patience to wait till that time. Patience is also an act of managing emotions. Let us make an attempt to understand what it is all about, how it can be interpreted for academics. If you look at the topic, it is called emotional intelligence. Particularly, we are all familiar with intelligence. Emotional intelligence is made up of two words. One is emotion. Other one is intelligence. For ease of understanding, I will explain you first what is intelligence and then emotion, the emotional intelligence. You will be knowing intelligence means the ability of an individual in terms of analytical reasoning, verbal skills, spatial ability, ability to give attention and keep memory, and to arrive at some judgments. Looking at all these factors, we consider somebody as intelligent or not intelligent, more intelligent or less intelligent. Intelligence is something connected with these issues. I will go further so that we can discuss more. Then what are emotions? Man is said to be a bundle of emotion. Man minus emotion is a robot. Today we have robots everywhere. What robots cannot do is they cannot feel. But we are making robots to smile, robots to talk, but they can talk and smile only as much as we have programmed. Unlike an unprogrammed individual, robots cannot respond. What are emotions? It is the internal conscious state of that mind that we infer in ourselves and others. Internal conscious state of mind. Internally, what we think, what we feel about something and somebody, that makes us to identify one or the other emotion. Emotions are subjective and based on personal experience. What is happiness? what is, there is no proper definition for happiness, you know. What makes one person happy may make another person sorrow. It is all subjective. Happiness is for me only. For the other person, it may not be. He is negatively affected. How are you affected by an incident that makes you either happy or unhappy? And how do you take that depends on your perception, your experience, understanding. Emotions are all psychological episodes. These are all psychological episodes, not actual. Psychologically, how do you feel? That makes you something like, say for instance, good and bad. There is nothing like good and bad in this world. What makes you good and what makes you something bad, you know? It is your interpretation. It is the mind that makes good and bad. Likewise, right and wrong. Greatness, for that matter. What is great? What is great to you may not be great to some other person. Okay. Therefore, psychological episodes make you to take things differently. It is connected to knowledge and actions. Emotions are connected to knowledge. Say, for instance, sadness. A small baby, newly born baby cannot understand the sorrow of the death of somebody because it don't know what is death. I think I'm with you. Death or happiness, death, birth, love, hatredness, these are all related to our understanding of the things. If you don't know what it is, you don't feel it. Followed by that, it is a state of excitement. Emotion is a state of excitement expressed both mentally and physically. Mentally, when you are happy, you will express it mentally, and physically, your facial expression, your eye movement, your hand movements, everything will be used to express your emotions. Therefore, emotions have this character. Teaching, you know, is both sensitive and emotional action. It's a sensitive action because the smallest thing that you connect, that you do inside the class will have a significant, prominent impact on the generations. And at the same time, it is emotional. Teaching is an emotional labor. It requires actions and emotions to be properly coordinated. Unless you love the subject, unless you love your audience, unless you like what you are doing, you cannot deliver justice. It is not a manual labor. It is a sensitive job. It is an emotional job. You must love and like what you are doing. Then only you can give justice. And at the same time, you must have a well-defined opinion about the people in front of you. Whether they are your enemies, whether they are your friends, whether they are the people looking at you for example. That makes your work effective. Therefore, here, when it comes to love and other things, I just thought of sharing with you, don't mistake me, how teachers are related with emotions. There is a popular saying, teachers are the leaders who have to inspire and motivate others to learn what they don't know. It is the teaching job. Students don't care. Students don't care what teachers know unless they knew that the teacher cared for them. You may say that I am the most renowned scholar in the world. I am the highly qualified. I have 10 degrees to my credit. 10 degrees means academic qualifications, not 10 degrees Celsius. I am the most learned person, but people don't know my greatness. World is not bothered about this. Unless they know that you care for them, unless they realize that you care for them, they will never care for you. Students never care for a teacher unless they know that teacher cares for them. Caring is the most prominent task of a teacher. When it comes to caring, all of us remember our primary school teachers, you know. The moment you think of a teacher, what comes to your mind is the primary school teacher. Why? The reason is, there is a popular saying, kindergarten teacher, I mean the nursery teachers, love their students. That's why we remember the madam who taught us the alphabets. Unmute, mute ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಕೆಲಸ. Okay.
ಸನ್ಮತಿ ಸರ್ ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಸನ್ಮತಿ ಸರ್ ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸರ್.
Kindergarten teachers love their students. High school teachers love their subjects. I have seen in high school people say that my subject result is high, in your subject result is low. You quarrel on that. What about the college and university teachers? College and university teachers, they love themselves, their position, their status, their salary, the things they appreciate. So that emotions in one way or the other matters a lot. My appeal to you is, when you love something, you go closer to it. When you love something, you will enjoy it and you make others to enjoy. Therefore, emotional intelligence is something connected with managing emotions of both in our mind and that of others. Particularly, the emotional intelligence can be applied in solving problems our students experience in the academics. What are the most prominent difficulties our students experience in their studies? May be connected with motivational difficulties. Some students may come out with a question, why should I study? What is the use of it? What is the guarantee of getting a job out of this? Something like that. There may not be reason for them to study. Some people may have the problem of getting adjusted to the college life. Maybe because of their poor economic, social background. Maybe because of their inferior thinking about their dress, their language, their styles, etc. May find the difficulty with adjusting to the college. Some students may find the difficulty of study skills. They don't know how to prepare for the exam, where to get the source, how to make use of the library. They may not be knowing. And some people may not have the direction at all. Directionless education, directionless life. They don't know why I am doing all these things. And all of us, including students, teachers, have personal issues. We are all playing different roles, At home, I am somebody. When I am getting into the class, I am somebody. Believe me, the real artists, the real actors are the teachers, Every day we act without makeup. I think I am reaching it. Every day we have to act in front of the students. We have to perform a different character altogether, different from that of what we play at home, before our children, before our parents, before our family. Here we need to manage our emotions. If you combine both, if you express the emotions of home in the classroom and the classroom in the home, you will become a mockery, laughing stock. Thinking that everybody will listen to me in the class. If I go and talk to my friends, they will say, I am not your student, mind it. Husband or wife will say, I am not your student. And whatever the problem you encountered with home, don't share it with the classroom. Classroom is for a different purpose. That is what emotional management. I was talking to you about emotions. Present day generation of students are totally different. We need to understand their emotions. For understanding their emotions, quickly, let us have an attempt to understand what are the characteristics of the present day students. I just made an attempt before taking you to emotional intelligence. Look at the present day new generation students. Their interpersonal skills are not that developed. Their patience, their ability to respect, their ability to understand, react properly are not properly developed. But their computer skills are very strong when compared to the teachers. Computer or mobile skills, mobile phone usage skills, they are very strong. They are skeptical and desensitized. No sensitivity. Just imagine when we used to behave in front of our teachers, the way in which we used to speak, we used to stand, and the present day students, they are not that sensitive. But they are good in multitasking. At a time, they can do lot many things. They pretend like listening to your lecture, but they're handling the mobile phone with both the hands. right? As most of our teachers are doing in a online orientation program, putting the photo on the screen, doing something other than listening. Not this batch. I'm talking about other batches. Okay, this batch, all the 24 are listening. They feel comfortable by challenging others. The present day generation students, they can challenge anybody. They challenge. They don't know anything, something like that. And at the same time, their expectations are very high. In single class, they want everything to be taught. In one attempt, they want to be genius. They don't have patience. They negotiate in everything. They negotiate for everything. Given assignment, they ask for some concession, some discount. Because they are in this market situation, wherein for everything there is a scheme, there is a discount, there is a season sale, something like that. Negotiation skills are very strong. Keeping this in mind, you need to act like a responsible teacher, a responsible leader, a responsible superior who can dictate the fate of others. Therefore, teaching requires coordination between your emotions, your actions. But none of us are perfect. Nobody is perfect in this world. We can gain perfection through experience and expertise. That can happen only when you apply your knowledge, you apply your experience properly. What is experience? Experience is a very high sounding word, What do you mean by that? 10 years experience, 20 years experience means what? Is it repeating 1 year's experience 20 times? It is not repeating the same thing. At every end of an action, there must be some value addition. There must be some change, some corrections, modifications. That is what experience. Many people think that experience will come out of age. No, it is not the color of your hair that makes experience. Otherwise, having so much of gray hairs, one can claim I'm the most experienced person. No. Given an opportunity, how do you define experience? There are so many definitions for experience. I remember once there was a quiz on Doordarshan some 20-25 years back to define who is an expert. Invariably, an expert is one who has more experience. No? Who is an expert then? The answer that got the prize 20 years back was that an expert is one who knows more and more of less and less. More and more of less and less. In my opinion, experience, experience means the mistakes committed in the past. Experience is the mistake committed in the past. When somebody says, listen to me, I'm an expert, that means that person has committed a mistake some time ago, but that mistake has taught him some lesson. If he has become successful, he will not call it experience. Anybody who has become successful on a venture will not call it experience. 99% of the time, experience, we use the word in connection with our failures and corrections. Failures and corrections, that makes anybody an expert. See here, I said intelligence is something connected with problem solving, judgment, that these are test reasoning and other things. That will be called intelligent quotient. When you understand an individual, the intelligent quotient is a weak predictor. Based on the intelligence, you cannot assess an individual's job performance. Say for instance, most of our teachers, you are all got this appointment based on your scoring in your entrance test. The written test was there, not an interview these days. The written test marks that you got gave a rank. Based on that, you got this appointment. But I tell you 100%, The marks that you are secured in the written test is not an indicator of your performance inside the classroom. Do you agree with me? Am I reaching?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
IQ and the rank is not an indicator of your performance, your achievements, your overall success in life, along with wealth and happiness. Intelligence and wealth, happiness are not related. The most richest man may not be having the basic general knowledge. If I ask the basic general knowledge, he may not be knowing, but he may be having tons of dollars or rupees with him. How did he earn? There is no relationship between his capacity to earn and his IQ. Success in life and IQ are not at all related. Most intelligent person may not be successful. But what are the factors that are significant predictors of success? If it is not IQ, what else? The most significant factors that makes people to be successful in life are ability to handle frustrations. What does it mean? Ability to handle victory and happiness is easy. When you are happy, there will be people around you. When you are sad, nobody will be there. When you win the game, there will be people to celebrate. When you lost it, there will not be anybody. Just imagine after the general elections, everybody will be with the person who won the election. And people who have lost the election might have closed all the windows and doors. Nobody will be with them. I think I'm right. Ability to handle frustration is the most important thing, because in life and everywhere, chances of losing are more. Chances of victory is less. When you lost something, you should know how to tolerate that. That is what the predictor of success. More than just celebrating victory, you should know how to handle failure also. Followed by that, most significant factor that can be used as a predictor of success is your ability to manage your own emotions. Ability to manage your emotions means how can you control your likes, dislikes, jealous, happiness, sorrow. All the time, when you feel sorrow, you cannot cry. When you feel happy, you cannot laugh. When you don't like something, you cannot develop jealousy. When you don't like something, that is not hatredness. You should not hate everybody. Ability to manage your own emotion is one of the most important things. Followed by that, managing your own social skills. Social skills means understanding the society around you and rising to the occasion. Knowing people around you, being one among them, developing the character that matches with the changing society makes you successful in anything that you do. That is what totally called managing emotions. You cannot control hatredness. It will come, it is a human nature. You cannot control jealous. 100% you cannot avoid. Sorry. You cannot avoid. But you can manage it, you can control it, you can reduce it. This is what called managing emotions. What are emotions basically? I'm coming to the point now. You will be knowing emotions, there are n number of expressions for that, but I have taken a couple of most important emotional issues: joy, happiness, surprise, anxiety, sadness, anger, jealous, disgust, frustration, fear, love. These are the emotions which are responsible for everything in the world, everything in our life, Only those who are capable of managing them can manage the world effectively. You should know when to express anger. Anger, worst enemy. Anger is the worst enemy. When to get angry and how to express this anger is $1 million question. Many a time, anger leads to disastrous outcomes, disasters. Therefore, these are the emotions that are responsible for all good and bad things that happens in our life. And our personality is identified with these characters only. What type of person I am, that will be influenced by how do I express these things before others. This is called emotions. Put together these emotions, say for instance, how do we express our emotions, whether they are good or bad? Characteristics of emotions actually. Emotions are chaotic, ephemeral, superfluous, incompatible with reasoning, disorganized, largely visceral, resulting in lack of effective adjustment. If you are emotional, you will be subjected to all this. Becoming over emotional makes an individual to become dysfunctional, not able to do anything. What are the negative or positive implications of these emotions? Emotions make people to go for over generalization. If you are emotional, you will categorically come to a conclusion. They all are bad in this world. Some people say teaching is easy job, Is it easy job? No. But emotionally people make a comment like, oh, it's an easy job. And we come to a conclusion, say for instance, students are careless. By the way, if I ask you to describe your students in one sentence, I've explained to you the characteristics of present generation students. Other than that, if I ask you to describe your students in one sentence, how will you describe? Take it as a question. Describe your students in one sentence. What are they? ನಾನು ಈ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ. ನೀವು ಒಂದು ವಾಕ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳ ಬಗೆಗೆ ಒಂದು ನಿರೂಪಣೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಡುವುದಾದರೆ ಹೇಗೆ ನಿರೂಪಿಸುತ್ತೀರಿ? ನಿಮ್ಮ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಿಮಗಿರುವ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯವೇನು? How do you describe your students in one sentence?
They are good.
They are intelligent nowadays.
Okay. Good.
They are good.
They are smart.
Yeah?
They are smart.
Wonderful. Then?
They are more creative than us.
Wonderful.
Studious.
So nice of you. All are feeling positive things. I'm happy.
A person formally engaged in learning.
Okay. Wonderful.
Majority of the student are with a mobile only rather than playing outside.
Okay.
They play virtually.
Virtual games they love. Okay.
Are treating like our own children.
You treat them like your own children.
Yes, sir.
Your students treat you like their own parents.
Generally in history there is a word comes that spiritual father and physical father.
Okay.
A teacher is also as like a spiritual father in the class.
Okay. Wonderful. I love to hear such things. Wonderful. See here, what I wanted to convey through this is, emotions makes us to generalize our opinion. It is your emotion that makes you to come out with an opinion of this type. Somebody calls it good, somebody calls it bad, somebody calls they are intelligent, somebody says no, they are careless, somebody says they are only bothered about marks, somebody says they are caring for learning. Okay, it is the emotion that leads to overgeneralization. Emotions leads to excessive worrying. Believe me, emotions makes people to worry a lot. Worrying as magical thinking. Worrying, there is a difference between thinking and worrying. People think those who are emotional, by worrying they can solve the problem. No. Emotions leads to jumping to negative conclusions. Because of emotions, people will come to a wrong conclusion. That leads to labeling and mislabeling. What does it mean? We put a tag Somebody is good, somebody is bad, somebody is right, somebody is wrong. World is the same. It is your perception, your judgment, calling somebody as good, somebody as bad. They are neither good nor bad. It leads to personalization. Emotions leads to personalization. Say for instance, if a student is not listening to you inside the class, many a time if you are an emotional teacher, you don't think it is his problem. You think that he is insulting you, humiliating you, troubling you. You may be knowing. If you are emotional about your driving, imagine that you are driving a car or a scooter. When somebody comes in between across the road, you think that somebody is trying to trouble you. The other person is also making a trouble, but you think he is troubling you. Personalization of everything. So that emotions leads to personalization. If the lecture is not interesting, instead of blaming the lecture, emotional people, they blame their fate. Oh, it is unfortunate. It's my fate that made me to attend this class, something like that. So that emotions makes people to personalize, develop stonewalling. Stonewalling means breaking the relationship. It is the emotions that leads to breakage of relationship. Emotions leads to contempt and criticism. Needless to elaborate. Contempt and criticism. So that at the time of emotional intelligence in education is very significant when we need to understand our students. When you look at their writing, their participation, their problem solving, their ethical behavior, their working in the teams, and all these issues are dependent upon the emotional intelligence of people. As teachers, we need to be emotionally intelligent to handle the crisis. When a crisis of this nature, say for instance, when our students get poor grades, when there is a problem of discipline, when there is an attendance problem, poor relationship between the students and the teacher, when the students join some gangs, they abuse the system, when the students drop out from a course, when the students are about to suffer from depression and commit suicide, when there is manhandling between the students or the people around us, these are all the problems of emotional issues in the working place. This needs to be addressed properly. How can we do that? The answer for that is the concept of emotional intelligence. So far, whatever I said is the preamble for the topic. With the help of emotional intelligence, you can solve those problems. What is emotional intelligence? Now I am defining. It is the capacity for recognizing our own feelings and those of others. It is your capacity to recognize your own feeling and feelings of others, for motivating ourselves and for managing emotions well in ourselves and in our relationships. In simple words, your capacity to understand your emotions and emotions of others, to develop a workable relationship can be called emotional intelligence. This is not a new concept. Know yourself and know the feelings of others is an age-old statement. But the concept of emotional intelligence has become popular since 1995, after the publication of a book of the same title, published by Daniel Goleman. Daniel Goleman published a book with the same title, Emotional Intelligence. After that, the entire world started thinking seriously about managing emotions. Otherwise, we used to speak casually that I manage a bundle of emotions. Emotions are responsible for all this. And many a time people used to think negatively about emotions. If somebody is emotional, people used to think, oh, he's not intelligent. But today, emotions can be used intelligently. Biggest problem of the world can be solved with an appropriate smile. Believe me, what the sword cannot do, That can be done with a smile. Smile can bind the relations between people. Smile is so powerful, but we must be careful about smile, There are different dimensions for smile. What is smile? There is a popular saying, smile at your misery. Smile at your difficulties. Laugh at your misery. It is what Abraham Lincoln said. Teach my son to laugh at his misery. When there is difficulty, let him not lose his hope. Let him laugh at his difficulties. One more saying. When you find a person without smile, give one of yours. You don't lose anything. If you find a person without smile, give one of yours. Still you don't lose anything. Because smile improves your face value. Face value can be taken in two different meanings. Value of a real face and face value in terms of share market. When you smile, your face value will increase. But before smiling, be careful. Each letter in the word smile carries some meaning. What is that? Smile. S-M-I-L-E. S stands for search. M stands for meet. I stands for investigate. L stands for lead. E stands for execute. Search, meet, investigate, lead and execute. Your smile can solve any problem in the world. Let us have a smiling world around us. Okay, smile is so powerful. Emotional intelligence is the foundation for critical skills. Is the foundation for all critical skills. There are so many critical skills that I have listed here. Say for instance, decision making, tolerance, communication, teamwork, empathy, time management, stress tolerance, anger management, assertiveness, accountability, flexibility, social skills, and service to customer. In business, we say customer service. Here you can say service to our people around us, students, employers, things like that. Trust. All these critical skills depends on emotional intelligence. Daniel Goleman gave a proper shape to the concept emotional intelligence and publicized. These days, in most of the corporate companies and particularly in Western part of the world, there is a lot of discussion and training on emotional intelligence. Because if you are able to manage yourself, you can manage the world. What is missing among our so-called educated people is ability to control their emotions, ability to control their sentiments. That is what the missing link. Therefore, Daniel Goleman has developed a formula of 5 factors and put together, he called them emotional intelligence. What are the 5 components of emotional intelligence? Each component calls for elaborate discussion. You can discuss for hours together on each one of them. I'm not going to do that. I want to be very precise. But the 5 components are, first one is self-awareness. Second one, self-regulation, self-motivation, social awareness, and the social skills. See here, if you want to be emotionally intelligent, develop these 5 concepts, know about this, what they are. Social awareness. What is this social awareness means? Sorry, self-awareness means. First one is self-awareness. What is this self-awareness? Self-awareness means knowledge of yourself. How much you know about you? What do you know about you? See, really, you will become what you think you are. What do you think of yourself? Many a time in a quarrel, people ask a question, what do you think of yourself? Do you think you are big? Whether you think big or small, that is your understanding of yourself. How much you know about yourself makes your world. We know a little about us. There is a theory called self-theory of personality in psychology. Self-theory of personality says, your personality depends on the concept of self-image, self-image, self-assessment, self-control, and self-depreciating. What is self-image means? Self-image means you have a picture of yours in your mind. You have constructed a picture of yourself in your mind. That picture dictates lot many things in your life. What do you know about you? When I say what you know about you, do you know your strengths, weaknesses? If you know your strength, wonderful. Develop on that. If you know your weaknesses, don't celebrate them. Try to get out of them. The strongest personality is one who knows where they are good at and who knows what they cannot do, where they are not strong. Many a time, instead of understanding ourselves, we try to understand others a lot. The golden rule is that know yourself, know yourself, know thyself is the golden principle. But we don't try to understand ourselves. We try to understand the world, and we expect others to understand us. Many people who are in difficulty, they say, nobody understands me. Nobody understands me. How much you have understood yourself? That is the question. Agree? I ask you to describe your students, Can you describe yourself in one sentence? Who are you? Who are you? This is the question raised by Socrates, right? The great philosopher Socrates raised the question, who am I? One life is not enough to answer this question, who am I? Is it me? Say, for instance, when I say, who am I? I'm a teacher. Teacher is your profession, not you. I'm Anand. Anand is your name. It is not you. It is me. It is your head, not you. It is my body. It is your body, not you. Soul, it is your soul, not you. Then who am I? As much as possible, we must have a definition for ourselves. We must have a definition. Who am I? Why I am here? What for I am? Okay, that makes our personality stronger. Know yourself. As I was telling, many a time we don't try to make this attempt to understand ourselves. If you know our strength, we can easily concentrate on things that will help us, that will make us to achieve, and avoid where we are not strong. Followed by that is self-assessment. Self-assessment means instead of evaluating the world, make an attempt to study yourself, right and the wrong with regard to your own doings. Whether I am right in doing this, don't make it too much. At least on the spot, think for a while whether my act is right or wrong. Shall I continue this or not? That will advise, that will guide your actions and reactions. And self-control, the next point we are supposed to elaborate. Self-monitoring or self-control is the most powerful expression that helps us to achieve anything in life. For self-image, I am trying to put this picture in front of you. See, what matters most is how you see yourself. Here, a cat is seeing itself as a lion in the mirror. This mirror is the society, and the person who looks at the society may develop a false image. The image that we develop, there are different types of personalities. I thought of not to elaborate too much, but self-theory is so interesting that There are several concepts of self-image. Actual self, ideal self, and the projected self. What is this self means? The word self is connected with two expressions like I and me. I is the personal self, and me is the self given to me by the society. My personality, my image depends on not only what I think about me, but also what others think about me. But believe me, there is a popular saying in English, you are not what you think you are. You are not what others think you are. You are what you think others think you are. You are what you think others think you are. What does it mean? You are not what you think you are. Can you listen to me? You are not what you think you are. You are not what others think you are. You are what you think others think you are. If somebody calls me intelligent, I will feel intelligent. If somebody calls me I'm good, I feel, oh, I'm good. Sometimes I don't know myself I am good. When somebody says you are good, oh, I'm good. No. Know yourself. Know yourself. I was talking about images. Actual self means what you are really. Ideal self means what you have accepted as a standard to emulate and imitate. You might have taken somebody as a standard, Abdul Kalam as a standard. Okay? That is the ideal self. Projected self is how you are presenting yourself before the community. I'm sorry, before the society. Before the community and the society, how are you presenting yourself? That becomes your projected self. There must be parity between all these three. Parity means they must be the same. Your actual self, your ideal self, your projected self must be the same. If all of them are same, that person will be normal and above the average. Many a time what happens, there will be a gap between our ideal self, actual self, and the projected self. I think I am great. That is my standard. And I want to project myself as a genius, but my actual self is not like that. The gap makes people to laugh at me. I will become a laughing stock because of the gap between my actual, ideal, and the projected self. Therefore, self is a very great concept that we need to understand. If you know yourself properly, you can understand others also easily. So, therefore, emotional intelligence calls for self-image as much as possible. As I said, you will become what you think, and your self-image is your imagination of your own personality in your mind. When you stand in front of a mirror, I told you in the beginning, mirror never lies. Mirror tell the truth, but we don't believe the mirror. As we don't believe the mirror, we look at the mirror again and again from different angles, different poses, things like that. Without using a mirror, what picture you have in your mind about yourself, that is your self-image. If you think you are good, if you think you are great, if you think you are right, that image makes you to continue your behavior in that direction. This is self-image. Self-awareness. After self-image, self-awareness is about knowing one's own emotions. It is about understanding our own thinking patterns and knowing what thinking pattern that we use in certain events. How do I react? How do I behave in a given situation? It is also an understanding of our strengths and weaknesses to know what motivates and what we want in life. Self-awareness is an understanding our own personality, our own character, our own strengths and weaknesses, likes and dislikes. More than anybody, you are your boss. You should know what is right and what is wrong for you. Self-concept is influenced by the several factors like society, values, beliefs, abilities, and the goals of the individual. All these factors will determine the concept of self of an individual. Self-awareness, instead of elaborating too much on that, let me take you to self-regulation. Self-regulation means ability to control your own emotions. Ability to control your own emotions. Controlling is something that nobody appreciates, but we need to control certain things in life. What are we supposed to control? See here, when you need to identify a track and keep on the track, you must maintain the track all the time. Self-regulation is the ability to develop, implement, and flexibly maintain a planned behavior in order to achieve goals in life. What influences your life, What are the reasons for the happenings in your life? There are two versions. There are people who believe that for everything that happens to me in my life, I am responsible. It is me who is responsible for everything that's happening. That is called belief in internal locus of control. Internal locus of control means believing that something that regulates, something that controls my life is inside me only. It is me who is responsible for everything that is happening to me. That is one type of personality. Opposite of that makes to believe that some people believe for everything that happens to me in my life, an external force is responsible. It is not my choice. It is somebody who is dictating everything in my life. It is because of somebody everything is happening to me. That belief is called external locus of control. Just think it for a while. If you believe that for everything that happens to you, you are responsible, to some extent it is wonderful. That makes you a responsible citizen, responsible teacher, responsible student. And that makes you to have an introspection and to realize that if you want to change anything, that is in your hand, change. Don't blame anybody. This is one version. Opposite of that is to believe that the reason for everything happening to me is external to me. Who is that external? It could be my parents, it could be the society, it could be the teachers, it could be my boss. My happiness depends on my boss. My happiness depends on my colleagues. My happiness depends on my parents, children, government. If not anybody, the reason for my happiness is the God. I think I'm reaching you. Those who believe in external locus of control all the time blame somebody. All the time pass on the buck to somebody. It is the easiest way. It is the easiest way. But it is the easiest and the most preferred way also. Most preferred way. Say for instance, ask anybody in our country, why are you poor? Ask a poor man, why are you poor? Answer is, God made me poor. When will you become rich? When He decides. Because of this saying, though about 30% of our population lives below the poverty line, struggling to get a meal per day, we have the world's happiest people in our country. In terms of happiness quotient, we are number 2. World's happiest people are in India, but still the poorest of the poor is also in India, says he's happy because he never thinks he is poor because of his own actions. He makes somebody responsible for that. If not anybody, government is responsible. Why are you poor? Government is responsible. Ask our students when they fail in the examination. When they failed in the examination, if you ask them, why did you fail? They never say, I failed. They say, they failed me. Because of that, they are happy. Am I reaching or confusing you? I don't know. Am I reaching?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
See
Yes,
here?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Self-regulation means believing that the controlling or regulating force inside me or outside me. If you think it is inside you, it is internal locus of control. If you think it is external, it is outside me, it is external locus of control. Extremes of both are not good. If you think it is me responsible for everything, at one point of time, that may lead to frustration, disappointment, and such people may go to commit suicide. They think for everything I am responsible. It's all because of me. They develop self-pitying, self-depreciation, and self-humiliating, and finally commit suicide. If you think controlling force is outside, all the time you blame others. Teachers are responsible, parents are responsible, government is responsible, God is cruel, something like that. Even that is not good. That makes you inactive. We must draw a line between these two, internal and external locus of control. That makes common sense. That is what intelligence, emotional intelligence. Therefore, how much to depend on ourselves, how much to depend on others is the most important factor under self-regulation. Self-regulation may falter because of failure or deficit at any of these 7 steps. Why do we fail to control ourselves properly? There are reasons. It could be because of irrelevant information, evaluating the information and comparing it to norms, triggering change, searching for options, formulating plan, implementing plan, assessing the plans. At these stages, we may fail to control ourselves. If we are able to control these 7 issues, in any incident, in any situation, we can successfully manage the situation through self-management. Self-management is the best management. To manage anything effectively, to control anything effectively, what is very relevant is self-motivation. Self-motivation means having a stronger reason internally to do anything. If anybody asks you, what is the motive for you to do all this? There must be a personal reason. That emotion makes you to be committed. Inside the class, you must enjoy yourself. There must be a reason for you to enjoy your class. There must be a reason for you to say that I love this. If that is the case, you don't need anybody's appreciation. Followed by that, social skills, I said. Social awareness and social skills. Social awareness is concerned with understanding the society around us, be sensitive to the society. Society is made up of people of different beliefs, values, religious sentiments, etc. Their languages, their likes and dislikes, all these things are to be learned. And to match with them, you need to acquire social skills. These social skills are connected with communication skills, conflict resolution skills, what we discussed earlier, basic interpersonal skills, and the team building skills. These are the social skills that we need to understand. Today, as I was telling, people are technically competent, but emotionally weak. They don't have the basic required social skills. What are the essential social skills that we need to learn and we need to teach our students also is accepting the differences. Everyone is special, everyone is unique. Accept the people as they are. Accept the difference. When you are at difficulty, don't hesitate. Ask for help. That is what emotional intelligence. If you don't know the route, ask somebody who knows it. Don't feel egoistic. Some people from morning to evening, they roam around. They never ask anybody, thinking that if I ask, people will think I'm a fool. I don't know that. Easiest thing, when you don't know, ask it. Nothing wrong. Communicate clearly. What you want to say it clearly. That is emotional intelligence. Compliment others when they did something good. When somebody did good thing, don't hesitate to compliment. Say wonderful, congrats. Disagree politely. If you are not happy with something, I use the word something called painless no. Painless no. When you want to say no, learn to say no without hurting others. Encourage others for doing something, particularly for teachers. These are all essential. Listen, follow the directions properly. Listen actively. One who listens more can speak more. You must listen double what you speak. Then only it will become effective. Resolve the conflicts. Participate equally in everything. Share your materials. Stay on the task. When it is required, take the turns. Take the risk. Using quiet voices. Be quiet when you speak to others. Waiting is another important emotional issue. Wait patiently for good things. Good things will come. You wait for that. So the emotional intelligence is the ability to identify your feelings and needs through body and awareness. It is the ability to read others' feelings and to listen to others with empathy. It is the ability to know how to express your feelings with words or body language. It is choosing when to contain emotion and when to communicate emotions effectively, appropriately. It is the ability to process and let go of emotions whenever it is necessary. It is the willingness to give ourselves time to feel and to enjoy the depths of ourselves through feelings. It is the ability to lead wisely or follow with grace. It is the ability to honor our own limits as well as to celebrate our talents. It is the ability to give and take, give and receive love. Give and receive love, starts with giving only. We must not ask for people to give love, because love is not something that we can demand. It is something that we can make people to give. That could be the reason for the song. Pyar lene ka nahi, dene ka hai. We can give love to others. If we spread love, the world will become a loving place to live. Therefore, emotional intelligence, in summary, is made up of three things. One is the cognitive mind. Cognitive mind means the intelligent mind. Other one is the emotional mind. In this intelligent mind, your verbal skills, your vocabulary, mathematical skills, your knowledge, everything is there. In your emotional mind, love, jealous, hatredness, fear, happy, sorrow, all these things are there. As teachers, one part of the mind, you have your domain knowledge. Your subject knowledge is your cognitive mind. To become an effective teacher, your emotional mind is also essential. You must love, like. That makes an equilibrium of these two will make the emotional quotient, that is the appropriate behavior. Emotional intelligence is the ability to think constructively, not wisely. Intelligence plus emotion and proper management of these two makes you emotionally intelligent. And these days, if you are having one, it is not adequate. If you are too emotional, people will make you to cry. If you are too intelligent and don't care for emotions of others and emotions of yours, you will become a robot. Man is not a machine. To be active among everybody, you need to balance between these two. This is all about emotional intelligence. Again, I've taken too much of your time. If you have any queries, please feel free either to post questions or to criticize. Or even you can contribute. Sorry, let me not negative all the time. You can contribute.
Sir, please discuss again the types of transactions.
I didn't catch you.
Types of transaction.
Oh, types of transaction. You noticed it under transactional analysis. Open transaction and cross transactions, you know. An open transaction is one where the ego status of the individual matches.